What's up, guys? RBG here. Today we're going to be going over the Kaisa deck. Now, I personally play it as a mono blue deck, as I've seen some deck lists play. You can definitely play it as a red blue deck if you want. I think the mono blue version is really cool, especially with some of the new revealed cards that have been out lately. So let's get into it. Let's go by card and kind of start going over every card in the deck. So first, the thing to know with her ability is she adds a rune. Keep in mind, before you cheat your friends and when you're playing this game, it only adds a rune to cast spells. So you can't tap it to add a rune to play anything else. So this deck is going to be a pretty spell-centric deck. Not nearly as spell-centric as you might think. It does play a lot of creatures, actually. It's pretty creature-heavy compared to, like, Lee Sin or Ari or something like that. But it does have that free mana, so you can play spells that turn earlier. You can leave a little bit less mana up to play the spells. So it's really, really nice. So her champion unit is the blue Kaisa, obviously. She has ganking, so she can move from battlefield to battlefield as she wants. When she conquers, you can play spells from your trash with energy cost less than your points without paying its energy cost. So how that works is if you have 2 or 3 points and you have a trash-like spell that's like 2 or 3 mana, you can play it when you conquer with her to play the energy, pop something in their backboard, kind of start controlling the game through Kaisa. She is phenomenal at kind of playing through your discard and making you reuse spells that you've already used, so you don't technically need to draw into them over and over again. It gets really powerful late game when you start getting into the late game, so she is just a really strong overall mid to late game card that just starts ramping and getting things going. Super strong for this like kind of play style. Now, one of the best reasons to play this deck is Icathian Rain. This card is crazy. 6 times deal 2 to a unit. So it's essentially deal 12 damage split across 6 different units if you want, which is a super crazy form of removal. The amount of times I've seen this full board wipe people is crazy. It's absolutely insane. It's definitely one of those cards that just board wipes everything and kind of controls the game state, and just kind of gets things going for this deck. One of the better removal spells you have. It's your signature spell. You do play other removal spells that are just as good, but this one is one of the best one. Now, going over to Kaisa again, just so you remember, when you conquer, you can play a spell from your trash with energy costs less than your points without paying its energy cost, then recycle it. So keep in mind, if you play like Icathian Rain, you still are going to need to recycle the 3 runes to play it. So even if you play it for free, you are still recycling 3 runes, but that's not a big deal because it's still free in a way. You're not really paying anything. You're going to get the 2 runes back on your turn anyway. So it's really, really good. Now I play this deck as mono blue. Like I said, you can play it with red blue. I'm trying mono blue. I think it's really crazy. Blue has some of the best cards in the game. As far as battlefields, Reaver's Row, when you defend here, you can move a friendly unit. This is just super, super good for kind of keeping control of the battlefields. You play a lot of little guys, so being able to move a little guy to stop a conquer early game is really good on Reaver's Row. You play Void Gate, spells and abilities affecting units deal 1 bonus damage. So this is just really good because it just deals 1 extra damage. So each instance of the damage spells is increased by 1. So keep in mind for Icathian Rain, every time you use it, it's 3 damage if they're at the Void Gate. So really, really good spell, just synergizes with all your stuff that you can have. Really good battlefield. Zon Warrens, when you conquer here, discard 1, draw 1. You are a bit of a discard deck. You can play spells from your discard pile. Similar to Jinx in a way, but Jinx more recycles them back. This deck actually will straight up play them from the recycle pile, or the discard pile. So this card's just really good for going through your deck, getting spells in the graveyard that you want to get in the graveyard. Even early game, it can come up. Now you play a huge suite of creatures. To start, there's a lot of crazy mono blue creatures. They get Watchful Sentry, 2 mana, 1 drop, draw 1 when it dies. Just super good for kind of going through your deck. Really good for turn 1, turn 2 play. You also play Ravenblood Student. When you play a spell, you give her +1. So keep in mind with her, if you play like Cleave, for example, giving her Assault 3. Now all of a sudden she's a 6 attacker swinging turn 2 or 3, which can be super crazy for equalizing game states. She's just a really good turn 1 play, turn 2 play as well. This deck curves really, really well, and plays into the late game really well. It kind of reminds me of Victor, where it plays really good mid, early, and late game, just with all the early drops you have. Gemcraft Seer. Now, this is a card that was revealed recently. How Vision works is when you play it, you look at the top card of the deck. If you want, you could recycle it to the bottom, and if you otherwise, you can just keep it at the top deck. when you have her on the field, every unit you play has vision. So every time you play a unit, let's say you play her turn 1, you're going second. Turn 2, you play like Ravenblood Student. You have to look at your deck, see if you want the card or not. It just kind of fixes all of your hands, fixes your curve, fixes, oh, I don't need this card yet. I'll need this card later. I don't need this card at all. Oh, I need this card next turn. Super good. It makes the games a lot more consistent and feel like very skillful in deciding what cards you're going to keep and what cards you're not going to keep. And it puts a lot of power on the player. So Heimerdinger, he taps himself. I have all abilities of Friendly Legends, units, and gear. So, you know, if let's say you have a Ravenblood Student on the field or a Watchful Sentry, if you tap Heimerdinger, he gets, you know, Death Knell, draw 1, and when you play a spell, give 1 attack. So he can kind of like beat any of your bigger creatures. He's a really good way to use your champion in another way. Because your champion is kind of important and you don't want to expose your champion to removal. So sometimes moving it to a battlefield isn't the best decision. If you have Heimerdinger out already on the board, you could technically play him, tap him to get that ability as well, which can come up definitely. Blue Ari. Now this is actually a really cool card. If you watch my first video, I made a deck overview guide on mono green Ari. This card's crazy. This card actually makes me want to play blue cards in Ari, and it's definitely a video I'm going to be doing in the future. Another Ari update, kind of going over the new deck list that I've been trying with this new Ari card. When she attacks or defends, give a unit -2 this turn. She kind of plays like the Ari champion ability, just better for some reason, and she's only a 3-drop. So she is essentially a 3-drop for 3, but she is way powerful than that because she can go even with things that are, you know, 5-drops, which is super, super great value-wise. Super good. It does lose a little bit to Victor, whether, you know, if they try to swing like 3 1/1s in there, because at that point it doesn't do anything. If they have 3 1/1 tokens and they're swinging them all into Ari, it won't be able to defend it because it only gives 1 unit -2 to a minimum of 1. But it is overall still a really, really good card. I would definitely play it and definitely look at these blue cards. Eager Apprentice, when he's at a battlefield, the energy cost for spells you play is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. Really good to just have on the board. If you can play it turn 2 or 3 and kind of move it to a battlefield and control a battlefield with it, it's going to make it a whole lot easier to play your spells and kind of curve out and make sure everything's kind of where you want it to be. Just really good overall. It's not one of the best cards in the deck, but it is definitely a really, really good card. So Echo, it's a 5-drop recycle 1 blue, but you can play an additional cost to have him enter his ready. Now, he's really cool because when he dies, you can recycle him to ready your runes. So if you have both battlefields controlled and like they kind of have to kill the Echo last, because if they kill the Echo first, you're going to have all your runes ready again. And it's a good way to control both battlefields. It's also just kind of like Warwick, where it's like a 6-mana recycle 2 rush, and any of those like 6-drops, 5-drops that are rush are just going to be really good at those mid-game points where you kind of need to start taking advantage. The Death Knell ability is really crazy if used properly, for sure. You kind of want to get the most value out of this. So you kind of want him to die when you're going to be able to play a spell off of him dying, if that makes any sense. Wraith of the Echoes is kind of your top end curve. The first time, each time a friendly unit dies, draw 1. So this just kind of goes through your deck and kind of gets you value for all these little guys. So if you have all these little guys and they start dropping like flies to removal or start dying at battlefields, if you can establish the Wraith of the Echoes on the board, you just start drawing through your deck, getting to your big removal spells, getting to your spells that you can kind of equalize the game state with. I know this plays a lot of creatures, but the spells you're playing are huge. Let's get into the spells. So I say they're huge, and then I look at Cleave. Give a unit Assault 3. This is just really good for kind of helping clear out early game things. A lot of your units have really, really, really good abilities, but to be honest, they don't have the best attack. So this can kind of help equalize. Again, you can play this from the trash. Just a really good card overall. You also play Stupefy, give -1, draw 1. Overall, just a really good card if it recycles itself. A lot of the cards in Riftbound that say like draw 1 as well as do something, you're going to see a lot of play just because they're good value. You know, if anything, it's a 1-mana draw 1 at the end of the day, which can sometimes come up and be really, really good. You play Get Excited. So again, with discarding spells, you can definitely discard spells without worrying about it too much. You play it on your turn in showdowns. It's kind of good. I'm just realizing that I can't actually play it in this deck list. So don't play this card. You might actually have to add some red runes to this deck, I'm thinking, because these two cards I'm realizing, I think when I was making this, I kind of forgot about this. So these two cards, honestly, just ignore. You might have to fill them out with something else or just add some red runes to your deck. But the main thing with these is you can actually still play them through your leader ability. So these two spells, if you're playing them, you kind of have to discard them. So you're going to be discarding these off of, you know, the Reaver's Row or the Zon Warrens, or you're going to be discarding them off of some of your other cards. So keep in mind, this is kind of your discard fodder, to be honest, for you. So these spells you kind of want to get in grave as best you can, because then you can still play them and, you know, play them from the grave, which are really good. And you kind of want to have those options. It might be worth playing some red runes, but it might not be. Unchecked power. Exhaust all friend. This is just a nuke. Exhaust all friendly units. Deal 12 damage to all units at battlefields. If they're super overcommitted and they have everything on their battlefields, like, you know, it's late game and you're playing against Volibear and they just have all their big bodies at the battlefield so they can kind of close out the game and get that last point, this can just instantly turn a game and just win the game for you. If you can play it from your graveyard with the Kaisa ability, even better. You probably won't be able to do that as often, though, just because of how, like, it's 7 points. You're going to have to be at 7 points to play it. But it's a really good card. It's just a nuke. It can win you games that you have no business winning. So definitely good. It reminds me of the Field's, the signature spell, but the signature spell is definitely better. So that's kind of the overview of this deck. You're playing a lot of creatures. You're playing a lot of ways to like draw and kind of go through your deck and play these big, powerful bomb spells. Definitely keep in mind that you can't, if you're playing mono blue, play these two spells because you can't ever use the recycle cost. So keep that in mind. You can't recycle any runes to kind of make this work. So something to keep in mind. You do have to discard these cards through your engine, but you can definitely find a way to do that. Otherwise, you can just replace the two cards if you think that's what's important for you. Other than that, this is mono blue Kaisa. Deck list is not perfect. You might want to change some things here and there, but overall, it's a really insane deck. If you have any comments, if I'm wrong about not being able to play Get Excited or Void Seeker, let me know. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can't unless they're discarded, which I could be wrong about. But let me know. Comment, like, subscribe. It really helps me make these videos and motivated and stay motivated to make these videos for you guys. I got a lot of videos planned. I got a lot of cool content planned, and I'm really enjoying this game so far. RBG out. Have a nice day.